think we're live. I'm gonna give me an audio check. Say test, test.
Test.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Homestead.
Are you sure it's working?
I don't know. Is it working? Can you hear us okay? Is it a little hot? Is it a little loud? Looks like it might be a little hot. I'll just turn that down just a little bit. Can you still hear me? Give me like ones in the comment if you can hear me all right. There's about a 15-second delay, so then they'll start rolling in.
Hi. We say, oh, hi. Wow, I can't see that very well.
You can't see that?
Not very well.
See if I can make that any bigger. Settings. No, not really.
That's fine.
Okay.
I don't need to see it.
All right. They're also over here.
Oh. Well, there's just stuff in the way there.
Yeah.
You have
So,
like a whole
whole
setup
yeah,
here.
Yeah. I like to go all in. I like to do it to the max,
I'm
to
not
the
gonna
best.
lie, it's kind of intimidating.
Is it impressive?
It's intimidating.
Does it kind of turn you on a little bit?
No.
No.
No, it's just terrifying. That's all.
All right, friends. Welcome to the Homestead. We're super excited to be doing these live streams. But yeah, the reason we decided to do them is because we wanted to be able to connect with our audience a little bit better and just kind of get to know you. We've spent the past couple of years letting you get to know us and our family, and thought we'd open it up to have conversation and talk about the things that are important to you. Let me go ahead and throw this up on the screen here. Full screen on 3. Boom. There.
Oh.
Now you can see us. So now you can see what they're seeing.
Oh, that's what my hair looks like, huh?
It's very nice.
Okay.
Very nice. And I thought that this got bigger. Maybe not. Maybe it's this one that gets bigger. Anyways.
Clearly we're very prepared for this.
Oh, so I've got, usually our kids will be out of the house on a Wednesday evening. That's why we decided to do this on Wednesdays. But strangely, just so happens that this first one, the kids are home. So they're joining us, watching, monitoring things in the comments. So if they see a comment that we need to address, we'll go ahead, because yeah, that's too small.
It's very tiny.
I can maybe do something different. Let's look and see if I want to be able to see what you guys are saying and in the chat. So let me slide this over here to this screen. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. Can you see that? Or is that just in the way?
It's okay.
What if we move it up here?
You look pretty. I like this person.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're very much in the house. I'm here, Zapman's here, so he's moderator. That's because he's got the little tool beside him. All right, so we
great.
wanted to...
I'm all out of the... I like that. That's
You like
perfect.
that?
Perfect. No, it was better.
Here, how about this one?
That was worse.
Focus right on it. All right, so, but yeah, we wanted to be able to connect with you guys and connect with our audience that we love and that has grown to know us, and get to know you guys a little bit. So feel free to jump in the comments and
we can barely see.
harass us, harass
try.
our kids. The flag has teeth. It's scary. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
The flag. The
Flag?
flag has teeth. I don't know what that means.
All right.
Okay. Meme man. So what are we going to be talking about tonight?
Just stuff we've had going on.
Stuff. Yeah. I thought we'd give an update on the Homestead, the things that we've got going on, the random activities that we've been doing. Also, we've got, this is Coleman. He wants to be involved. He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
You want to be on the live stream? You're a good dog. Okay, get down.
We've also got a segment called What's in the News. So we talk about the current events, things that are going on in the world, but specifically things that affect us in a real live way. And then some things that are just stupid.
Yes, I think that's fair to say.
So that'll be fun. But then the main topic of tonight's conversation is something that is actually really impacting us in a real way right now, and we're kind of in the throes of things, and that is raising kids to be adults. It's an interesting topic. It's something that we're having to think about a lot right now. So we thought it was quite appropriate to talk about something that's meaningful to us, and we hope that can be meaningful and helpful to you guys as well. So, so updates. What have we been doing on the homestead?
Well, I've spent a lot of time being sick
Being sick.
and taking care of sick people.
What? No.
Yes.
Being sick.
So it started with you. You were
Listen,
sick.
I almost died.
You were.
I did.
He had the dreaded man cold.
It was bad. And she was like, "Oh, you're such a baby. You're such a baby." And
did.
then she got sick.
I did, but just to be clear, you were a giant baby
Just a little bit.
about it. So I feel like the Lord allowed me to contract your terrible man cold, which was surprisingly much worse than I anticipated it being, and it really did knock me down. But I think the difference between a woman having a man cold and a man having a man cold is that I had to get out of bed and keep doing stuff,
Well, that's true.
like cooking meals for the children, which caused them to catch it.
Well, just a little bit. But you know, I think they survived. They managed.
Well, they're almost over it. I'm still a little nasal,
Yeah.
still dealing with a little bit of it, but
And I still got like congestion in my ears. It's like my ears won't drain. They always want to
Yeah.
pop. It's really weird. So yeah, being sick. I've been feeding bees,
yeah, that's a new thing.
feeding bunnies, feeding chickens, feeding lots of things.
But feeding bees, that's something that I don't think I realized you had to do before we had bees.
Yeah. So your dad,
Who's a genius? He's like the
he's
bee.
been doing
He's like
this
the bee genius.
for a few years now, and he's really taken off. He's got like so many. Have you been to his house and seen how many hives he's got now?
He's my dad.
I mean, they're just like
So yes.
stacked all the way across his backyard. He just sent me a video. I wish I had put it on the computer, but of him catching a swarm. One had swarmed up into the
Really?
cedar. He hooked the tractor up to the tree, pulled the tree down, and shook the swarm into a bucket.
My dad's awesome.
Captured it.
He's fabulous. And he really has just become like an expert in bees in a very short amount of time. And we are very blessed that he's sort of mentoring us in this endeavor because it's a lot of fun.
Yep, it sure is. So he brought out some concoction of sugar water and
Bless you.
I don't know. He said it was like a preservative and something to entice the bees to the sugar water, but it keeps it clean and keeps it from fermenting. So I've been every few days filling that up in their top feeders, and it's been promoting hive growth, and they're building out all the comb and filling it with honey, getting ready for this winter because the bees need like 1.5 full boxes of honey to be able to survive the winter.
Yeah, and that's seems like a regular issue that a lot of beekeepers have, that they.
So well, I'm pretty confident that ours are going to do a good job. We got a good place for them. We got good, strong, healthy bees, strong queens. So we're excited about that.
Good.
The weather, it's cooling off. We're wearing our flannels.
It is, yeah, mine's kind of a fake flannel. It doesn't really keep me warm. But it is, we were out tonight and it was surprisingly cold, actually.
Yeah?
I could have used a coat.
Yeah, I walked out this morning and it was cold. I mean, it was in the 40s.
Yes.
And I walked out without a sweatshirt on. I was like, ooh, got to go back inside.
Yeah, that's no good.
And then Christina goes out in her pajamas.
Yes, sick.
Sick to feed the
Yeah.
bunnies.
But she's her own person. She just kind of is like,
That's
she doesn't
true.
have time for that.
You know what else comes with nice cold weather?
What's that?
What do you think?
Ooh, hot tub weather. Yeah, I love our hot tub.
Oh, so we've been suffering.
It's like a redneck hot tub.
Yeah,
It's
we've been suffering through
wonderful.
all the hot nights, getting in the hot tub anyways. But we could only stand it for like 10 minutes or so before we started sweating so much that we had to get out. You know, getting overheated.
We were willing to endure.
Yeah,
because it's
I mean,
wonderful.
It was worth it, but
I have a lot of spine problems
Yeah.
that I've had for many years, and we quickly found that having access to that was very therapeutic and made it actually easier for me to get moving in the mornings when it's
Yep.
very difficult. But now that it's cold, we don't have to suffer through that. It's actually
so
quite enjoyable.
the other night we jumped in the hot tub and sat there for 30-45 minutes without missing a beat. I
No.
mean, it was just comfortable.
It's great.
Yep.
Hot
So,
tub weather. And
and
it's homecoming week.
And it's homecoming week.
It's
too.
homecoming week.
That's right.
This is a new, I mean, we've done homecoming weeks before, but this experience in homecoming week is kind of new for us this
All right.
year.
Now, some of our viewers know that we homeschool, and
Okay.
this might be kind of confusing for them
I can understand that.
to figure out how we would have homecoming
Yeah.
when we're homeschooled. So, how did all that work out?
Yeah. So our oldest daughter, 17, she's a senior this year, and she is a cheerleader for an organization here near where we live that just brings homeschoolers together from all over the state, and it's an athletics program for them. And we love it. It's been a wonderful organization. It really,
Really?
he wants to talk about.
You right there?
It is a really great organization. Thank you, Cole. But they really love on the kids. They really teach them a lot of things. And so, honestly, any kind of athletics, they do basketball, baseball, volleyball. They do track and cross country and dance and cheerleading also in addition to that. And so, when our daughter left public school, she loved cheerleading, and we found a way for her to continue doing that. And she's been with this organization for a couple of years now. But for the first time ever, she was nominated as one of the candidates for their homecoming queen. And when I say that, this is a challenging thing to convey. But instead of a school where you have a class of
Hey.
a certain
Stop it.
Daisy's not having it either, a certain number of people, we have instead maybe 200 to 400 plus homeschoolers
Yeah.
from all over the state who come together to do these things. And so we were very honored. And the way that they choose their candidates is not just a popularity contest that I think you see in some public high schools.
Yeah, they're nominated by the coaches,
The coaches.
of the different teams, and she was nominated 2 different times from 2 different coaches. So that was
Her
pretty.
cheerleading coach and her archery coach. And she was very honored, and she was so surprised. But we are having a fabulous week. But it's a very, very, very busy week. We were at earlier tonight at what we called Princess Practice, where she had to go practice for the homecoming ceremony. And then earlier today we picked up her dress. Tomorrow we will go to cheerleading practice and then do a big pep rally for the state. And then we'll have the homecoming
Saturday.
game and ceremony. And then
Yeah.
Saturday we've got the homecoming dance,
Oh, good gracious!
which is a whole lot of dresses.
All right, and so just so that you can kind of get the idea of how this is going to work, is we live about an hour from each destination that we have to go to. So there's going to be
It's true.
about
17 or so hours
17, 18
worth of
hours
driving.
of traveling and driving this whole week. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, fun.
It's okay. It's actually a really exciting week, and we're really
Mm-hmm.
really enjoying getting to be a part of it.
But yeah, so that's exciting. So there are some things that we're struggling with
Go.
on the homestead. We've got our bees that are doing great, and our chickens that are doing great. I think I collected 10 eggs today, so that was
Yay!
Finally started getting some eggs. They're still a little bit small, but it's not too bad. But our bunnies, we're struggling with our bunnies because they're just not doing what bunnies do.
Or what they're supposed to do.
Or what they're supposed to do. It's been rough. We've been trying a bunch of different things and trying to get them rocking and rolling before winter comes, because we don't want to have babies over the winter. But I don't know that it's going to happen this year. We're going to keep trying, but it's going to be difficult. We lost the one bunny, and that was difficult on everybody. I don't think I've cried that hard in years. Bawled like a little baby.
We loved that bunny. He was Christina would always say that he wasn't really a bunny, he was a dog.
Yeah.
He was pretty sure he was a dog. He loved our dogs, and he had the personality of a dog, and he was a really sweet bunny, but we loved him. He was a lot of fun. Sad to see him go.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're still struggling with that, trying to figure out if we're going to go ahead and get another New Zealand Red, because
Oh, we are gonna get another New Zealand Red. We just have to
when is
find
the question.
one that
Yep.
Christina connects with.
So all right, so but yeah, the things that are working. Looking forward to digging up some sweet potatoes. I've got to do that this next week. in the garden?
I cannot see any of that.
You can't see.
I'm sure that people are
Did you
saying.
get rabbit's foot? It's a rare drop. Yeah, just don't read anything that Gaming Shorts or Meme Man or Silas say. They're just, Silas. He's just trolling his friends now.
I understand.
Yeah, just put
Good
him in
man,
timeout.
Sai.
Way
Good
to
man.
go. So,
At least his friends showed up to watch us, so I feel like that's.
yeah, that's right.
I'll take it. That's
I
fine.
appreciate you guys. So what else? We've got the garden. The chickens are laying really well. I ended up switching to a higher protein food to get them, more ready for laying eggs, and it seemed to help.
It was a challenge because we had our older flock and our newer flock together, and so finding that mix of what each of them needed to feed was challenging. But I think we got it just right now.
Yeah.
Almost as soon as we switched that up, we started getting lots of eggs.
Yep. So
Kids are getting settled into the new school year.
Yep. It's been a couple months, and they're just kind of like getting into the groove of things, knowing what they're needing to do. I don't have to wake up and remind them to not play on the
They're
computer.
doing so well.
but-
They're doing really well, so
Yeah.
we're very proud of them. They seem to be actually enjoying most of their classes,
They
even
are.
some of the ones they thought they might not. So
And just about the time they start getting settled in, we have fall break.
yes, so that's next week, and so it's just going to derail them just enough that we're going to have to get them back on track. So
Yep, that's true. So, so another good thing, I don't know if you knew this or not,
oh yeah,
but I'm starting a new job next week.
what? Oh, that's great. That's
so
fabulous.
I
We're
am
excited about it.
blessed to be starting a new adventure. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of risks of death involved in this one.
No,
but
surely not.
But it's been a fun process to get on board. So I start on Monday. I start on the 3rd.
When they set your start date, it seemed like it was so far away, but now
Yeah, it's just like
it's
bam,
like it
bam,
just
bam.
blew by, and now all of a sudden you're starting Monday, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I feel like you're ready to just kind of get in there and start
Yeah,
doing things. So
I am. So what I'm going to be doing is it's a work from home and remotely around the area. So I'll be able to continue the homesteading thing and the YouTube stuff.
which was when we were looking for a job, that was a huge draw for us, that this one was something that you could do mostly from home.
And so, where this all started is we set some priorities for our family and for our home. And we said, these are the things that are important to us, and these are the things that we want to do. And one of those things was for me to be available to be home. Because if we're going to do this homesteading thing, and we're going to raise chickens and have livestock like sheep and goats and cows, then somebody's going to need to be here to take care of them. And I've got some great
Clearly,
kids.
I wasn't good enough. 'Cause
I've
I'm here all the time.
I've got my family, but I want them to be able to
but
pay
there
attention
are-
to school, and you to be able to pay attention to the house.
I have some physical limitations, a few things, and the kids do have school and things of that nature. But I think it was just important to us that if it was possible,
Right.
that you be able to work from home at least a good chunk of the time. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, so that was one of the criteria that we had, and moving forward, and then the flexibility of time, the flexibility of my schedule. I know that I'm going to have to be away from the house. It's a sales role. I'll be having appointments and meeting people, but it fits within the mold that we were trying to accomplish. So we're really excited about that, and I'm going to be selling digital marketing products, things like local search optimization, and
what is our first frost date? I think I can
What's
see.
our first frost date? Oh, it's in October, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like October 15th,
something like that.
somewhere in there.
Yeah. I can tell you our last frost date easier than I can our first. So in Tennessee, where we are, it's you can't plan on anything. They can tell you what the first frost date is, but it doesn't really matter because Tennessee just kind of does whatever it wants, whatever it feels like, and as sure as you think you're going to be.
All right, just to let you know. All right, it was quite literally 102 degrees
True.
here the last day of summer.
Yes.
And the first day of fall, it was 76.
It's true. It's true. So one day after that, it was fall temperatures, and now we're in the 40s at night. All of a sudden, you can blame the hurricane a little bit, but only
Yeah, I
somewhat.
think I saw somebody post that it was 38 degrees at their house.
Listen,
2 days ago.
I was in a sweater as we were out at
Uh-huh.
Princess practice for homecoming tonight, and I was shivering. I was cold. When
Yeah.
that wind blew through, it was just biting. It was very cold.
All right, so we're here in Middle Tennessee, so we're actually about an hour and 15 minutes or so southeast of Nashville, which is kind of like right in the middle of Tennessee. And our first frost date is projected to be October 21st.
He says
So-
theirs is tomorrow.
Oh, really?
The first frost date is tomorrow.
Man, so yeah.
Is it, are you already feeling the effects of it? Is it already cold there? I don't know where you're at, but.
Where you at, Robert? Anyways, so yeah, we're where were we at? Oh, we were talking about the plan for moving forward in my job.
Yeah.
So it really fit well with our family. It fit well with the direction that we wanted to move. And it was like God kind of put all the parts and pieces in place. It's completely outside of the industry that I'm used to.
You spent your entire life in a completely different industry.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
so
I mean-
many hours and years dedicated to that. And
So I started when I was about 6 years old, Northern Illinois. Oh, yep, that would make sense.
Yeah.
You're way up there in north, you Yankee.
no.
All of my family is from New Hampshire, New
Yes.
England
So
area.
he feels like he can say that, and it's okay for him
It's
to say
okay.
it because he is too.
That's right. Well, I'm not. I was born in Tennessee.
Well, I'm from Tampa, who's
Dixie.
getting hammered right now with a hurricane. But
Yeah. So but that's another thing. So it, but yeah, the job is kind of.
we have a lot of dogs.
They want to let us know that they want attention.
They really don't like when we do something other than just talk to them all the
Yeah.
time.
So,
okay.
but with this job comes some sacrifice, as with anything. We were really, really, really looking forward to going to the Homesteaders of America conference this
yeah.
year in Virginia.
Says his mom lives in Sevierville.
Oh yeah, that's a great place.
Yeah.
So
A lot of fun.
your sister's up there right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yep, they're
She
out
is.
there camping in Gatlinburg.
Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, we're not going to be able to go to the Homesteaders of America conference. We got our tickets. We had a VRBO set up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We were all set to go, and I'm going to be right in the middle of
Your new training. Yes. And what's sad about this is last year, the Homesteaders of America conference, we weren't able to go for different reasons. And as it was going on, we were kind of watching some things live on
Yeah.
YouTube and other places. We kind of said, we are going next year. I mean, we are going. And the day that tickets went on sale,
Yeah, we were like,
he came
bummed.
home and he's like, they're on sale. What should I do? And I was like, buy them. And so he bought the tickets, and we've had them for that long. And then these
like,
were very.
we went ahead and scheduled a house that was like 20 minutes from the site. and
Like we
everything.
we were on it. We were like we're not missing it this year.
That's right.
Now we're missing it this
And now
year.
we're missing it. So, but with
Best
with
laid
that,
plans.
we do have 2 adult tickets and 3 kids tickets. If you or somebody you know is wanting to go but can't get a hold of some tickets, reach out to us and let us know.
Yeah. So
I don't want them to go to waste. And I thought about some of them, but God has blessed us tremendously, and we could be a blessing to.
yeah, I
others.
think that's the key. Is I would really love for them to be a blessing to someone. So if you actually want to go and you can't, or if you know somebody that you'd like to take with you, but you need a little help doing that, we have tickets. We can't use them.
Yeah.
So
That's true. So, well, with that brings us to the segment of what's happening in the world.
oh, I'm entirely unprepared for this. I try to ignore and pretend like I try to not pay too much attention to what's
So,
happening in the world because
I
it's
spent-
terrifying.
I spent this entire week working on a game plan for the live stream. This was our first one. I wanted it to flow well, and poor Holly, she's just like, whatever. I'm never going to remember anything to say or whatever. So, yeah, it's all good.
I think my exact words were just, don't tell me about it.
Don't tell me
just
about
don't
it.
tell me anything. Just,
yeah.
We'll see. I'll be surprised.
All right. So the first thing that we've got is, what?
John wants our tickets.
Okay. I mean, seriously. Yeah,
yes.
we'll give them to you. You can take the kids. We'd love for you to take the kids. All right. Garlic growing in popularity among home gardeners. Now, this is one that strikes close to home. According to a recent poll conducted in allaboutgardening.com, home gardeners in dozens of U.S. states search for how to grow garlic more than questions about any other fall crop. Residents in Alaska, Delaware, Hawaii, Kentucky, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, and Wyoming all searched for it the most. In Pennsylvania, the top search was how to grow carrots.
Okay.
So yeah, apparently people want to grow garlic. I want to grow garlic. I was actually looking at that just before I saw this article.
We actually just had this conversation.
Yep. But it's apparently a pretty easy crop to grow. Usually, most people will plant in the fall, sometime between the end of October and the end of November, so somewhere
here
in there.
at least, yeah.
And what it does is you plant it there, and then it starts to sprout. It's cold, and you just cover it with straw so that it can go over winter. And then in the springtime, when the warm weather pops up, it starts. And then you cut the top off when it starts to curl over, and sometime around late July, you've got garlic bulbs that you can harvest.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
we use a lot of garlic. My younger sister, is a big believer in the more garlic, the better. And we've used that multiple times in the past, I think for health purposes, even just outside of cooking. But I think that sounds good. We got a couple of raised beds we can clear out.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking of doing, was
And
just
use.
planting in all the raised beds,
Yeah.
and then covering with straw over the winter and seeing kind of how they do. But apparently it's like a plant it and forget it kind of crop. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll work out well. So, and then you were very interested in this.
Yeah, we've been following this Hurricane Ian for days now. Our oldest daughter is also a sort of amateur aspiring meteorologist, and who, by the way, says that she can do the weather for us.
Okay.
If we want to do a segment on news and weather.
So yeah, it was apparently. I mean, I pulled these pictures yesterday when it hit Cuba.
Hit Cuba.
It was pretty significant, and it was a lot less. But you see, like, houses being destroyed and entire barns like collapsing. I liked those cows. Those were pretty cool.
Those are great cows.
But then all this destruction, and then you've got people in Florida
Yes.
that are taping up their windows.
Yes, about that. I was actually watching the Weather Channel, and we were watching. This guy was live, and he was going through, and everybody's boarded up their businesses and everything, and he's like, everybody's preparing everybody, and he's literally just live walking down this mini mall, where he's looking into the different places, and he comes to this one. You could tell he was legitimately surprised by what he saw on the inside. On the inside of their windows, their big windows, was duct tape, and they had like crossed duct tape over their windows. And he gets there, and he kind of stops, and he looks at it for a minute, and he goes, guys, just don't do this. This doesn't do any good. He said, this is nothing. He said, and more than that, it's an abuse and a waste of good duct tape.
That is true. So, I mean, I get the thought process and the concept of it. If you tape over the window and it breaks, it's not going to shatter and like slice your head off.
He literally felt the need to stop his live coverage of people preparing for Hurricane Ian to say, please don't do this. This doesn't do any good.
That is true. But yeah, it's apparently been pretty significant. Some major storm swells and swells.
Lots of mandatory evacuations. Even some family that we have down there that we've been trying to keep track of and keep tabs on. So just really make sure that they're okay. But there's a lot of people in harm's way. This is a very significant storm, very significant situation, and it's going to affect a lot of people.
It really is, and our hearts go out to those affected by it, and hopefully everybody's staying as safe as they can be, and I'm sure that there'll be a major effort to help rebuild once everything settles down. But
It hit as a Cat 4. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
It did hit as a Category 4. And just, I think when it actually hit shore, it was actually 2 miles per hour, because my young meteorologist keeps me up to date on all of this, underneath a Cat 5. So it was very, very nearly a Cat 5. And in her semi-professional opinion, she felt like they actually should have called it a Cat 5, because there were sustained winds over that one, that marker up to the Cat 5. So
I think it's just like how long they were sustained, how long they were prolonged and things. But yeah, it's a pretty significant impact, and we've got family down there that we know and care about, and my daughter was calling them last week saying, hey, y'all need to get out of there because it's going to be pretty bad. It's nice having aspiring meteorologist to be able to tell
she is,
when there's going to be a hurricane or
we're
tornado.
very proud of her. She's beautiful and brilliant.
Yep.
And interested
Homecoming
in
queen nomination.
Well, we'll see how that goes. But she's a really sweet girl, so grateful for her.
So, the other thing, another really serious thing. I don't know if you've heard about food shortages and what.
Yes, no, I hear about this all the time. You keep telling me.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting serious, and if you haven't seriously taken into consideration the food shortages that are coming, then you need to start really paying attention to what's going on around you in the world. It's getting real. It's getting severe, and you need to take steps to protect yourself and your family and those around you, so that you can be prepared for these things, because it is coming. There's I was watching I put this video clip together from David Beasley. He's from the UN World Food Program, and just listen to what he has to say.
We're facing a food pricing problem in 2022 that's creating havoc around the world. Well, if we don't get on top of this thing quickly, and I don't mean next year, I mean this year, you will have a food availability problem in 2023, and that's going to be hell on earth. We're looking at an $11 billion shortfall of food production inside Africa alone. Now, I could go to Central America, South America, same issues on droughts. India, devastated by heat and drought, and it can go on and on. The world produces enough food to feed everybody on the planet, over 7.7 billion people. 50% of that food is because of fertilizer. So if you don't have fertilizer, you can't have harvest at the yields that you need. Fertilizers that we're talking about, number one, China's got a complete export ban on fertilizer. Number two, the number 2 producer of fertilizer in the world is Russia, and they are struggling to get the fertilizer out. But then Ukraine comes on, shutting down the breadbasket of the world that produces enough food to feed 400 million people.
So I mean, this is really getting serious. I mean, not only are there famines throughout the world, in Africa and the Middle East, in Asia, in Central America and South America. I mean, all over the place. But now the entire world, it seems like, is attacking nitrogen and ammonia and the things that are necessary to make fertilizers, and preventing that. I mean, if you don't have fertilizer, then your garden doesn't grow. And that's the problem that farmers are facing all over the world, is they don't have enough nutrients to put in the ground to get enough food out of the ground to feed the world. I think I read somewhere that it's expected that there's about 300 million people that are on the brink of starvation. So they're like right on that edge. They're getting enough food, but just barely. And I mean, with Ukraine alone feeds 400 million people. And so if Ukraine can't produce food for 400 million people, and there's 300 million people that are on the brink of starvation. I mean, what does that mean? It's pretty serious.
It's
so
significant, absolutely.
it's so yeah. I mean, the things with China, and they just stopped exporting fertilizer altogether. Things with Russia, not being able to get exports out because of sanctions and things of that nature. It's all going to take a major toll on us here in America, and even in America, our government is attacking farmers. I mean, I just saw where they were limiting the availability of a pesticide that was going to end up costing us corn production. I mean, you were talking about, the ability to just make cornbread instead of, wheat bread and things the other day, but now they're even attacking that.
Chickens are the best.
Chickens are the best. I mean, and that's what we love, is we've got a practically unlimited supply of nitrogen.
So we do, but we have resources that not everyone has.
Yeah.
Not just in our animals that we can utilize for fertilizer in that way, but also just with the fact that we have land, and our land allows us the opportunity to raise those animals, which allows us the opportunity to grow our own food. So I think that you're absolutely right that chickens are great, and rabbits. Our rabbits are great too, because that fertilizer can go right into a garden and that kind of thing. It doesn't have to wait. It doesn't have to compost, anything like that. But I think that the issue is that unless a good chunk of the world wants to really rethink the way that we live, there's people living in apartments, and there's people living in neighborhoods that are just, they're tiny little yards and homes. And unless they want to think about that kind of personal responsibility, which not everybody wants that, there are going to be people who starve.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. But I mean, even people that have land and livestock and things. Like, I was talking with a buddy of mine who produces hay and sells hay.
Yeah.
And he couldn't afford the fertilizer this year.
And he does this every year.
Every year.
This is a normal thing for him, and this is the first time that he can recall.
Yeah, I mean, he just couldn't afford it, so he went without. And he told me that he's gotten a third of the production that he gets normally.
And so, and in that, we're considering bringing on some other animals and things like that, and we want to we have some fields that we'd like to hay. Yeah. But we have to kind of work those things. It doesn't just happen automatically.
Right.
It's a process. You have to prepare those fields and things. And with that said, we need probably more fertilizer than we are currently producing. Yeah. To be able to make that happen. Yeah. So it's definitely a challenge.
It's like the snowball effect. I mean, once you can't get the nutrients into the ground, you can't get the nutrients out of the ground, and it seems like the world is attacking these farmers. I mean, you probably heard about the Dutch farmers that were all protesting and driving their tractors out into the fields and things like that, or out into the streets and dumping hay bales, because they had legislation passed that was going to require them to reduce their livestock herds by half. I mean, literally cut them in half, and it was all because of ammonia.
You got it. You did good.
And nitrogen, which is what you use to make fertilizer out of. I mean, that's basically what it is. And they were wanting to cut that by 50%, and that's just sparked all kinds of protests all throughout Europe, because all of the European Union is pushing this green agenda, saying that, hey, these things are bad, and either one, they don't realize that these are good things for the environment and good things for the world, or two, it's on purpose. And
I'd hate to think that.
I would hate to think that too.
That would be a really scary realization if that proved to be true.
But think about it this way. If the problem is people, how do you get rid of people? You get rid of what they eat.
Right. And I know that some people have that mentality, but
I mean, it's scary, and I'm not trying to be an alarmist or anything, but it's real, and if you follow the progression of things, I mean, who was it that guy from Germany? He like invented the process of making.
he's also in future
Fertilizer.
food production. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Well, we're working on that.
But the guy from Germany who won the Nobel Prize for the chemical process of turning ammonia into a fertilizer product, he did that, and the entire world's population boomed after that. Interesting fact: he was also responsible for chemical warfare. So,
Well, I mean,
that being what it is, but yeah, it's scary. So, bottom line is, be prepared. Be aware of what's going on around you. Be prepared either by having enough food stores for your family, or being in a position where you can produce enough food
and
for your
support
family.
your local farmer.
And support.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, you had on a lighter note.
Yeah, I like this one.
On a lighter note, you had something that you found interesting.
Yeah, I think NASA has developed like a contingency plan just in case Bruce Willis dies.
That is true. Just in case
they're working
he
on.
dies.
So apparently they sent a craft to crash into an asteroid to see if they could move it off target if an asteroid was ever headed for Earth. And I thought, this is why we have Bruce Willis, right? Because I mean, and I think that there's at least one, maybe a couple movies where that's his job, is to save us from certain doom where an asteroid is concerned. But Bruce Willis, he might not live forever, so that's NASA's new plan, is we're going to see. And my favorite part of this was when NASA said that they were pretty sure that if they did this, that it wouldn't cause the asteroid to change direction and then start heading towards Earth. And wouldn't that have been an interesting turn of events?
How ironic.
We're practicing to save Earth in the future, but we accidentally
sent this 11 million ton asteroid plummeting. No, 11 billion ton asteroid plummeting into Earth. But yeah, so I read this article too, and the first thing that I read was NASA spaceship crashes into asteroid, and I'm like,
that
what?
seems like a well, but it was on purpose.
NASA screwed up. But no, they did it on purpose. But here's the deal. They spent $325 million to launch this spacecraft the size of a vending machine into an asteroid 7 million miles away.
Yes.
$325 million.
Yeah.
All right. So now get this. The spaceship weighs a grand total of 1,260 pounds. All right. It's a pretty significant piece of equipment to be launching into space. I mean, I'll give them that. But how much does the asteroid weigh? It's expected that the asteroid weighs 11 billion pounds. Billion. All right. So
I know, I see this. Yeah.
Right, I had to figure this out. All right, so that means that the spacecraft was 1,445,455,454,545 10/16
I've never
the
even heard
size
the word sextillionths.
of the asteroid. All right, so here's the deal. Imagine I pick up a 100-pound boulder and throw it at your head.
Well, then,
All right.
you're gonna have to sleep on the couch.
All right. It would be the equivalent of you picking up a 5 milligram piece of sand and throwing it at that boulder to deflect it.
Well, I mean,
So here we
could
go,
happen.
NASA. All right, I'm gonna cut you a deal. You pay me.
Willis would have used a real vending machine.
You pay me
I
$200
agree.
million. That's a deal. I mean, that's like a third of the price. You pay me $200 million. I'll have my son program this into Spaceflight Simulator, and we'll give you an answer. Let you know if it
He
worked.
could too. No, I really think that he could. I feel like he may not have the muscles like Bruce Willis, but if Bruce Willis goes down, Silas might be the answer.
It might be.
Truly.
It might be. So, and then the last article that we have for you.
I hate this one.
This is a great one.
This
is a
just
great
gives small towns a bad name.
All right.
Oh.
So, a woman who brought a raccoon into North Dakota is being charged. A woman who brought a wild raccoon into North Dakota bar, which prompted state health officials to issue a warning about potential rabies exposure, is facing criminal charges. Christine, I don't think that's how you say it. Erin Christensen, 38 of Maddock, is charged with the misdemeanor counts of providing false information to law enforcement, tampering with physical evidence, and unlawful of possession of fur bearers. All right, this whole situation just has the makings of a great joke.
I just
Like a woman and a raccoon walk into a bar.
listen.
Right.
This could have happened in our town.
It could have.
Okay, this could have happened in our town for real. It didn't.
It didn't. It wasn't in our town. It was in North Dakota.
We don't have to claim this, but truly it could have.
Now, the other interesting thing is I looked up the town. It's got a population of like around 500 people. And in this bar, there was like 12 people. That's like 2% of the entire population of the town. So, I mean, this could have been a significant event if the thing had rabies. So basically what happened was Erin and her family found this little poor raccoon on the side of the road and nursed it back to health and kept it as a pet. They named it Rocky, right? And, I mean, as most, raccoon owners do, they get thirsty every once in a while. So she goes into this bar at happy hour and decides that she's going to show her friends her new pet raccoon. So she brings the raccoon in the bar. And apparently the health department got wind of it and got a little antsy.
I feel like she could have gotten around all this if she just claimed that it was an emotional support raccoon.
It was emotional support.
If it was an emotional support raccoon, you take it at an airport, you could take it to the bar,
just get a little vest.
take it wherever you want. You
Get a little vest,
you
so
can
do
order
not
those.
pet.
You can order it off of Amazon. And that would have solved the problem.
Oh, but yeah, the health department apparently freaked out and started issuing rabies alerts and notifications to everybody in the area. And so the police got involved, and apparently there was like this whole manhunt for this raccoon because she's like,
Because it's a small town and they have nothing else to do.
she's like hiding it, and they had to issue a number of warrants for different places so they could find out where it was. Anyways, they end up finding that little Rocky, the raccoon, and they immediately euthanize it, and they kill her raccoon and put her in jail. And then after they've killed the raccoon, they tested it for rabies, and it came back
It was
negative,
negative.
so everybody was safe. Yeah. It's clear that our government has our best interest at heart at times. They were very interested in keeping everybody safe from a pet raccoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was what was in the news.
How are we doing?
We're doing great.
Are we doing okay?
Yeah,
On time?
we've got we're running about 10 minutes behind, but that's okay. We're having fun. This is our first live stream, so we're getting to
It's our first.
our first. I did like a 30-minute
This
one.
might be my last. This is terrifying.
It's all
No
good.
good.
It's all good. So, but now we want to talk about something that's really important to us. Our family is really important to us, and some of the things that we've been dealing with, and as our family is growing, and we've got practically three teenagers.
Our family is no longer growing. They're just growing up.
They're growing up
No more.
and out.
Yeah, well, not because of.
But yeah, our family is maturing, and It's the raccoon. Yep. And
So-
yeah.
I love this this topic or this phrase because this is something that my mom has said to me a lot over the years when I was younger, when I was a child, but then also more so, I would say, here recently as we have children and we're raising children. And she would say, we raise children to be adults. And, you know, it's true. It's true because we do. We have to raise children to be adults, to be responsible and appropriate adults, and to live in this world and to live in the real world. But I don't feel like I gave it enough consideration what that really means until our oldest daughter turned 17, and I thought, good gracious, I have 1 year until the world considers her an adult.
Yeah.
And, you know, is she ready? Have we prepared her to be an adult? And as I think about our other two coming up, and can we prepare them earlier? Can we do more? Is there more that we can do? So it's hard because it's our job as parents to protect them.
Yeah, it is. And we want to make it clear that we're by no means experts on this. This is our first go round.
Yes, that's true.
So if we make a mistake, it's a you'll
We got
know
two more tries.
We do. So that was the blessing when we had our third child. I said, yes, we've got a bonus kid.
It's a do-over child.
But we're not the experts. We've never successfully transitioned a child from an adult. But I will tell you this: we got some pretty great kids.
We do. They make our job, this job, and every other job we have as parents really easy.
And I will say that they often put many adults that I know to shame.
I think
So,
that's fair.
with that being said, I feel like we've done a pretty good job raising our kids to be responsible, to be productive. I mean, what other things would you consider an adult, a transitioning to adult? What would you say that the requirements are? Where's the benchmark at?
Well, I think the thing that I've been giving the most thought to lately is we've helped our children make decisions for years. You know, we can see the writing on the wall and what those decisions, they may choose this, they may choose that, but we can kind of see where that's going to lead and what that's going to look like in their lives later. And so we can guide them and we can kind of say, oh, well, if you think about this, if you choose this, then these things can happen. And if you choose this, then this happens. And helping them to think through those things. But we've hit a point in life where now instead of guiding them through those decisions, we've done that. We've given them a good example of those decisions, and we've guided them through those decisions. And now we're in a place where we really have to start letting them practice while they still have the safety net of you and I, making those decisions for themselves. And as they make those decisions, I think sometimes being able to take our hands off and knowing that maybe we see the writing on the wall and this isn't going to go the way that they think it is, and letting that happen. Yeah. And that's hard.
It is hard.
That's really hard.
For so many years, we're so focused on keeping them safe. I joke that it's not my job to keep my kids alive. It's their job. You know, it's their reward for staying alive. But in all reality, we're parents, and we desire our kids to be in a safe environment where they are protected from harm. And you know, we can't keep them safe as adults. I mean, it's not our job anymore. And so
I disagree. I think that us keeping them safe as adults happens now while they're children, because with good instruction, with good understanding of what, you know, life is going to hold for them in the future, and the ability to make those decisions and practice with that safety net, making those decisions, that's how you protect them.
Well, yes.
It's equipping them now.
But I think what I was trying to say is that you can't be there
No.
to keep them from screwing up.
You can, but they're going to hate it.
I think that just drives them away.
Maybe like kick you out.
So-
I don't know.
So, in my consideration and thoughts behind this, you know, I thought about, you know, what was the most important thing that we've done with our kids that that I would consider, preparing them for adults, and even at a very, very young age, I think that we made strides and intentional decisions to give them a very firm foundation. Sorry, so Robert says that they grow up so fast. My youngest is a junior at Iowa State, and my oldest is married. So he's, Robert's a few steps ahead of us in this whole process. But
no, but it does happen very, very fast.
It's scary how quickly these, it's like just. I was looking at Facebook, and 5 years ago, Alyssa's looking like a little kid and going to, middle school, and now she's staring graduation down the barrel, and it's scary. But we started with a firm foundation in their lives. One of the things that Holly and I talked about when we had kids and when they were starting to get a little bit older is that we had a passion and a desire for them to love, to learn, right? And she just smiles.
I am smiling. So when Alyssa, our oldest, was 4, I think, we just started talking about what we were going to do for school. And you had been homeschooled your whole life, and it was really important to you. You really wanted to homeschool our children. And I had been homeschooled some, but it was for some health reasons. It wasn't really, a choice in the same manner. And I thought that was just way too big of an undertaking, and it was terrifying. And I thought that is not something that I feel like I can do. I didn't feel like I could do that. And I will never forget when you said to me that it's okay and that I didn't have to be able to do all the things and to teach them all the things. And you kind of really encouraged me that you felt like I was already good at the one thing that they really needed, and that was to love to learn.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, in homeschooling, I really developed a desire to learn. It's an interesting dynamic because my entire life I was homeschooled.
Yeah.
From K-5 all the way through graduation, and I think I took for granted the value that it was in my life because bottom line was that I was responsible for my knowledge and I was responsible for the things that I learned, and I was only limited by how much I wanted to learn.
Right. And so, our children, I think, teaching them to love learning sometimes looks different than, making sure that you teach math and reading and all these other things. We really wanted them to love reading because I think if you love reading, you can love learning. You can learn anything if you love to read. And so we spent countless hours.
Yeah.
It's so cliche, but it's just true. We just spent countless hours reading to them.
Yeah, I was just putting together the bookshelf back here, trying to get things cleaned up, and I saw the little books that we used to read to the kids. I mean, just when they were little. I mean, silly things like Click Clack Moo and Good Night Moon and all those little storybooks and the Ladybug Girl.
Oh, Ladybug Girl is Alyssa's favorite. Yeah.
But all these things, and we would enjoy just reading to our kids, and they would enjoy the stories. And so
as they got bigger, we read things like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
And Farmer Boy.
Yep, that was always
Farmer Boy.
And so just developing in them a love to learn. And I don't think it was until I went to college where I discovered the value that the homeschooling instilled in me, in that desire to learn and that desire to grow. Because when I went to college, I was then limited by my professor's requirement to learn things. And honestly, it was boring. I mean, it wasn't enough.
You like to.
It wasn't. It was
dig
like
into the things that interested you, and
it was like you learn these things. I'll never forget my second semester of college. and I had a history class that was just, the teacher was brutal, he was boring and monotone, and everybody hated to take his class because it was so difficult, and all of the tests were on the lectures, so you had to pay attention and take notes and everything. And I remember that that everybody was dreading that first test. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna buckle down, and I'm gonna focus, and I'm gonna take notes, and I'm gonna do all the things, and I'm gonna make sure that I have what it takes to, you know, at least get a C in a passing grade on this test, because I was scared to death from all the things that everybody had told me. And so I remember I got a study buddy, and we took notes, and Sean Pendergrass was his name, Sean. And we would stay up late and sit in the little study room and at college and just go over flashcards, you know, all the different things. And you got to understand, I'm terrible with names and dates. So history is not my strong suit. I love stories. I love the things that go on. I could tell you all about all the things that happened in, you know, the Revolutionary War, but I couldn't tell you the people that were involved, other than maybe like George Washington.
Good job.
Yeah. John Adams.
Your son just read a whole book about that,
I know.
so maybe he could tell you.
It's been a refresher. So I go in there, I sit down to this first major exam, and I'm like sweating it. I'm like, I've studied, I've, you know, this and that. And I'm like, if I can get away with a C, that would be great. And I sit down there, and I go through the first like half a page, and I'm just like breezing along, and I know all this stuff, and I was like, you know, okay. And I finally get through the entire test in like 20 minutes, and we have like an hour and a half to take it. And I stand up and I look around, and everybody's still like their head in their hand, twirling their pencils. And I walk up and I lay my test on the desk, and I walk out, and I was like, oh, that wasn't too bad. I mean, I think I knew most of this stuff, I think. And then the next week we go back into class, and this professor, he's great about like not publicly shaming one person. He likes to publicly shame the entire class. And so
like a good professor.
He would bring up the only the people that got a 100 on the test. He would bring them up to the front and hand them their test, and everybody else would just have to get it after class. And so he's like, it was hilarious. All right, so he's this little like shorter guy, kind of stout, bald head, looks exactly like Elmer Fudd, and he sounds exactly like Elmer Fudd. Now, kids, if you don't know who Elmer Fudd is, go and look up Looney Tunes, the guy that's always chasing the rabbit. That's Elmer Fudd. And he's like, today, class, we have only one person who got a 100 on this exam. Shaphan Sylvester, come get your test. So I had to come up in front of the entire class of about 60 or 70 people and get my test. I was the only one that got a 100. And I looked at it and I said, that was easy. And I never went back to class the rest of the semester.
Yeah, it's a true story.
It was terrible. I'm a horrible, horrible student. But it was because I put all the effort in.
One of
And it was too easy.
probably by and far one of the most intelligent people I have ever met in my entire life, and could learn anything, could do anything. I mean, there's literally nothing this man can't do, but yet he is a terrible student. I will say that.
Because if I don't want to do something, I
But
just
one
don't do
thing
it.
does not necessarily
Yeah.
yield another.
So, but I think that we did a good job instilling in our kids a love
They do
for
love to
learning.
learn.
They love to read. There is nothing that will stop them from doing what they want to do. My goodness, Alyssa, our oldest, she's a senior, and she loves the weather. And she's
loved it since she was 3 years old.
Yeah,
Probably.
she's like dug in and devoted herself, and she's got so many certifications and classes that she's taken on weather. And this hurricane started coming through, and the first thing that she did was jump on and started taking hurricane classification certifications.
Yeah.
And it was like she wasn't afraid to learn, and she wasn't expecting somebody else to to feed her this information. She went out and found it for herself. My son Silas loves technology and coding and computer gaming and different things, and I'm just astounded at all the different things that he has learned just because he's devoted himself to it and decided, hey, he's going to figure this out. And he has the ability, and he has the skills to learn, and he has the drive, and he doesn't have the fear of failing because we've instilled in him that he is able to learn for himself the things that he needs.
And then our youngest loves reading, loves literature,
absolutely.
loves stories, loves writing, and she is, she is probably more well-read than almost any other child I know her age. She can devour a massive novel in 2 days if she wants to. Speaking of which, that is a funny story.
Yes.
She had to.
Yeah. So what was it? The Robinson?
The Swiss Family Robinson.
Swiss Family Robinson. So we have them enrolled in a tutorial. They go once a week, and they have a class that they take, or certain classes. And Christina is, what class is that? It's
a junior high literature.
Junior high literature. And
which is
so
a slightly advanced class for her age, but she does well in it.
one of their assignments was to read Robinson Crusoe.
The Swiss Family Robinson.
Oh, the Swiss Family
She
Robinson.
read that at the same time that our other child was reading Robinson Crusoe.
So one of their assignments was to read the Swiss Family Robinson, and they had, 2 weeks to read it?
Yes, they had 2 weeks to read it.
And so
they were assigned a certain number of chapters each day.
What you got to understand is that from when she's 3 or 4 years old, we've
read
read this book.
The Swiss Family Robinson
and listening,
a couple of times.
Yeah, listening to audiobooks. I mean, when we go on long trips, we just throw in an audiobook and we'll listen to it together. And it's
apparently there are 75 different versions and specifically endings to the Swiss Family Robinson, and they are very different. And so after rereading the entirety of the same story that we had been reading to her since she was very young, but even though she didn't technically have to, she knew the story, but she's like, I'm going to read it because I'm supposed to, and then we find out 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days before she has to go in and take a test that she has, our version is the wrong version.
Yeah, so apparently we hadn't looked at the syllabus. We just saw Swiss Family Robinson and said, oh, we've got that book, and we were going to read it. But apparently there was a very specific version that she had to read that was, this certain thing.
So we knew that it was going to be different. We knew it was going to have a different ending, but we did not know at what point it was going to be different. So that child, there were definitely some tears right at first, this overwhelming task of having to read a massively thick novel in 2 days or fail the test, which is not an option if you are our youngest child. It is, there's no chance that she's going to fail a test. So she just opened the book and started reading. And for the first, had to be a full 3/4 of the book. Word for word, almost exactly the same. But for fear of it changing and her not realizing it, she just kept reading. We got to the last quarter and it was drastically different in that last little bit of the book, but bless her heart. She did great.
16 hours of straight reading.
She did nothing else.
Yeah, it was rough. But she read the entire Swiss Family Robinson.
Twice.
But once in 2 days. 2 days total. So that was pretty good. So our kids love to learn. The other thing that we instilled in them at a young age was a love for the Lord. I mean, we've grown up in church and had that instilled in our lives, and it's important, especially for young people, to take the initiative early to get them involved in church and get them involved in ministry and get them involved in spiritual things. I can't remember what the statistic was, but it was an astronomical amount, like 70% less likely to be someone who's involved with drugs or drop out of school or all these things if you only have a strong spiritual background. And so introducing them to the Lord, and not as a religion of rules to follow, but as somebody that they could get to know and be with and spend time with and talk with on a personal level was important for us to introduce them to. So those were, I think, two of the strongest things that we did in laying that foundation for our kids. You want to take the next one?
Well,
I wrote points and she hates points.
Well, I asked you not to show them to me beforehand, so I'm just gonna read it. How about
Okay.
that? But this is stuff we talked about.
It
We did
is.
have like a genuine conversation
In the hot
before
tub.
this. It was on the porch swing. We were on the porch swing, and we had a legitimate conversation about this, where we just kind of talked about the things we wanted to talk about, but then
Yeah.
he had to make it all, like organized and on paper. So, I think just building trust with
Yeah.
your kids, just being able to have them know that they can trust you, and in the other way also knowing that you can trust them.
Yeah.
And there's a balance there. Obviously, don't lie
Yeah.
to your kids.
Don't lie to your kids. I mean, I see so many parents just straight up lie to their kids, make things up to make it more convenient for them. And I mean, we're not perfect, and I'm sure that there's been moments where we've failed, but I know that we have a strong desire to be honest, to be truthful, even when it's hard with our kids. And I mean, honestly, I've seen this so many times in, especially people that are in the public eye.
Yeah.
Things like, pastors' children and public figures who have kids. So many times their children get totally messed up and go off the rails. And it, honestly, what I think it is, I mean, I haven't done research, but just observing things, is these people get scrutinized by the public so heavily and so many lies get told about them and so many
Yeah.
negative things get said about them that their kids hear. I mean, they're gonna hear it. I mean, you're not gonna be immune to a rumor or a negative
No.
comment or a lie that's told about you. But if a parent lies to their kid and causes any kind of distrust, now all of those other rumors and all of those other blatant lies that are told about them, now there's a question.
Now you have to wonder.
Now you have to wonder,
That's right.
did Dad really tell me the truth? Was I, really being somebody that he was forthright with? Or was he lying to me like he lied to somebody else? So don't lie to your kids. Don't lie in front of your kids. Don't put on a persona of one thing and then be something else.
So our kids are 17, 15, and 12.
12.
And so our youngest is a little bit, so our oldest two are 18 months apart, and our youngest is a little bit further out. But I'll never forget the moment where I felt like, especially with her, that I had this moment where I could have told her a not truth or not, and it was about something so seemingly insignificant, but it impacted me. It made me feel like, no, I'm not going to do that. She's very perceptive. She is highly intelligent, and our other two. So we did the Santa Claus thing. Everybody, did the Santa Claus thing, and we had our other two were still plenty old enough to believe, or not, or whatever. We didn't really have conversation about it, but I will never forget. 4 years old, 4. No one had said a word to her, and that child walked up to me, looked me right in the eye, and said, "Is he real? Is Santa real?" And I knew that this was the moment where I was either blatantly a 4-year-old, and I'm gonna have to say a true thing or a not true thing. And I was like, wow, I shouldn't have to be thinking about this right now in this exact moment when you're 4 years old.
Do I give up the the magic and the surprise and the excitement of Santa Claus?
And
Or do I tell my child the truth?
I don't know where it came from, but my answer was this. I looked right at her and I said, things like Santa Claus are just for fun. So we're not going to talk about all the specifics of it, but it's fun. And that's it. Santa Claus is just for fun. It's just for fun. And then we talked a lot about the real stories and things like that. But lying wasn't something that I wanted to do, even in those small things, things that, we're supposed to do as parents to, but when she point blank asked me at 4 years old, what are you going to do?
Right. I mean, they create a wedge. They start a wedge in your relationship and in your trust.
Yeah.
And then with every little lie, with every little question, with every little doubt, it's just like a hammer driving that wedge in until it eventually breaks apart. And that's not to say that we don't do things wrong. I mean, we mess up
for sure.
and screw up.
We mess up a ton. But I think that's another important point.
Right. Is when you in building trust, when you mess up, when you do something that's less than desirable or something you would be embarrassed about. What?
I just love that you can see our trash can.
Oh, you can see the trash can. I can move that.
It's just like
there. Now
hey,
you can't
thanks.
see the trash can.
You can just kind of see the trash
You can just see the trash
that
over
the
there.
dogs got into.
Yeah. But just if you mess up, just apologize.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of apologizing to your kids. Don't feel like it's a failure or a fault.
Yeah.
To apologize.
That's a hard thing, and not even because it's a hard thing to apologize. It's easy for me to apologize, but my kids look at me like I'm supposed to know.
Yeah.
So I'm not supposed to mess up, right? I'm supposed to get it right. And so it's so easy when I have gotten it wrong to just cling to that like I got it right.
Yeah.
And just insist that I was right because I'm the mom and that's how it is. But you know what? It's not how it is.
Yeah.
And so we've made this a practice that when we've needed to,
Yeah.
and I'm thankful it hasn't been more often than it was, but when it was, we've apologized to our children. We told them when we were wrong.
And sometimes it takes the urging of a spouse.
Sometimes it
I'm
does.
like way out of line and she comes to me and she's like, so maybe you shouldn't have done it that way.
I love you, and
and I have to go back and apologize. But you know what? It's the beauty of being real and being honest with your kids that will build that trust and will create that long-term trust with you, so that when you go to them and you say, this is dangerous or this is a bad choice or a bad decision, they can actually trust you and believe you without having to experience that on their own. So, which brings us to the other situation is be involved with your kids.
so I like this one.
You like this one? Yeah.
I was looking at this one and coming up, and I was thinking, that's exactly where I'm going to ask you what happened to your eye.
Oh, my eye. This one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
I was
so
involved.
many pretty colors happening there.
I was involved with my son.
Were you?
I was.
Your son is wait, how tall is your son?
I think he's 6'1" now. He's about 3 inches taller than me.
You're how tall? So you were involved with your son.
We horse around, we play, and we have a good time. I think we were watching a karate movie or something like that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards we were getting a little feisty, and he thought he'd get the better of me, and well, I got a black eye. But
He didn't hit him or throw a punch or anything like that. Nothing crazy. He tossed a water bottle right at him,
and I was wearing my
he was
glasses.
wearing his glasses, and it hit him in the glasses, and those glasses cut him right there. And if you were any good at your karate,
I would have
you'd have
blocked
blocked it. But
it's been a while. It was late. I was tired. I mean,
John says, "Yeah, what did you do?" Well, let us just tell you.
But don't worry. So after that, we tussled a bit and rolled around in the grass, and I think I came up the victor.
It was a fun night. It was a fun night.
But be involved with your kids. Be interested.
Sorry.
Be interested in what they're doing. So many times it's difficult for us as adults to take a moment out of our busy schedule to be interested in what the kids are doing. But, this is their world. This is the life that they're in. And if they've got something that's at the top of their list and we're like, psh, that's nothing, then that makes them feel like they're nothing. So being involved in the things that they're interested in, being interested in the things that they're involved with, and showing that, I think is just as important. With all that.
So,
but on the flip side, you can be too involved.
We were at volleyball games and football games.
We are.
And cheer practice.
We do a lot.
Archery tournaments.
We listen to theories of relativity.
Oh my goodness, I can't.
So, my son is...
Silas? I can't. I don't understand about the planet and the person, and then there's the dog in the middle.
I tried to explain it to her. All right, so the theory of relativity is like if you have an object
here,
and an object here, and this
object
is moving.
That's for a whole other live stream.
All right.
So
anyways, his theory. All right, let me just put this out there for the world to hear. All right, so if you have a person, all right, and you can't move more or faster than the speed of light, but the theory of relativity is that two objects moving in opposite directions is equivalent to the speed. So if you have a person that's moving at the speed of light and a planet that's moving away from that person at the speed of light.
+1.
That was
this is what the drawing was.
I think he said like half the speed of light +1 and half the speed of light. Then according to the theory of relativity, they would be moving in relative motion with themselves faster than the speed of light,
which is impossible.
Make them moving faster than the speed of light.
Right.
So I think
he's really like his mind is blown and he's dealing with some things right now.
But I want to know what would happen if you're moving at the speed of light with a flashlight in your hand and you turn on the flashlight.
Silas, work on that one.
All right. So would the light go, or would it? Anyways.
I'm going to ask you to move on. We're going to move on now.
So be interested in what the children are doing, what they're interested in. But then
set a solid foundation, build trust,
yeah.
Be interested.
But then past that, invite them to be interested in the things that you're doing. And emphasis on invite. It doesn't go well when I force the kids to get out in the garden. It becomes a punishment. But if you invite them, hey, I'm going to be doing this. You want to come do it with me?
So clearly he's bigger than you and smarter too.
Absolutely, yes.
He is not a better student though. I'll say
that
as his teacher.
Oh my goodness! But invite them to be interested in the things that you're doing. Be an example. Be interested in things that are good and that are worthy to be interested in, and invite them in it. Let them be a part of the things that you're doing. We do a lot.
We do a lot.
We have events.
Way too
we
much.
throw festivals, and we're volunteer firefighters, and we host.
We are not volunteer.
We host pageants, and we do YouTube, and so one of the things that we do intentionally is invite our children to be a part of the things that we're doing, and help them to find value and valuable roles in it. I mean, our daughters do a great job with helping with our events and
yes, they do.
Managing check-ins and vendors, and my son is very good with the technical things,
yep.
And he's learning about electronics and circuits and all this stuff. So I mean, there's always something that they can add value to, and it's, I think, our job as parents to invite them in and to let them be a part of our lives and the things that we're interested in. And this isn't on here.
Okay, that's fine, because I told you not to tell me anyways. So.
But it's important as far as being involved with your kids, and it's husbands, love your wives. And I think that's one of the biggest things that your kids can see is if you love your wife, then that creates an example, and that creates a lesson that they will take with them for the rest of their lives, because your sons will see how you love your wives, and they will know how they should love a woman that's in their life. And your daughters will see you love your wife, and they will know how
They should be loved.
they should be loved. And don't be afraid to show that affection in front of them and to set that example. Get a little frisky sometimes. Make her slap your hand away. Let them know that you love your wife and that you care about her and that you are passionate about her, because that sets that example, that sets that precedent in their life, so that they know what they can do in the future.
So growing up, my parents would do. I have one memory of them. Well, I have
Only
I have
one?
I have a
Only
lot
one?
of memories, but I have one that really stuck with me in terms of something that kind of came full circle when I met you. My parents would dance in the kitchen.
Yeah?
They would dance in the kitchen, and they would dance in front of us, and they would dance. And I think their favorite song, they would swing dance too. They would dance to My Maria by Brooks and Dunn.
Oh, my Maria.
And then other songs too, slow songs and things, but they would always let us watch. And I remember saying that to my mom one day. I remember saying, I'll never forget you guys dancing in the kitchen. Every time I hear this song, I think about you guys dancing in the kitchen. And she goes, we wanted you to see that. Because that was really us. And we wanted you to see that. And I met you, and I'll never forget, without ever knowing that story, without ever having seen my parents do that, every time that we were in my kitchen, growing up, when I was just out of high school, you would stand there and you would every time start trying to dance with me, and I would get so embarrassed and so flustered and everything. But I remember that it took me a moment, but I was like, that is just like my dad, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, I made a
Good
good
job.
choice. So, in reality, I was just hearing music in my head, and I thought I would dance to it. But it's good. So
that was a freebie. That wasn't even on there.
Yep. Love your wife. I guess wives love your husbands.
I do love.
I love you too.
Okay.
And then let your kids see it. Let them see that you guys love each other. Don't always be at each other's throats. Try not to fight in front of your kids. At least take it outside or something like that.
Small houses,
Get a
open
black
floor
eye.
plans. It can be a problem, but
Yeah.
try.
So, and then finally, give your kids opportunities to fail. Give them opportunities for failure. I know that sounds contrary to the things that we're supposed to be doing as parents, but let them screw up royally.
This is the one, and we got to wrap this up because it's gone on for forever. But I will say this one is more terrifying to me than any of the other ones, and it goes against the things that I feel like I'm supposed to do as a parent. It's totally contradictory to what I've been doing all these years. I spent all these years protecting them. I spent all these years, teaching them and just guarding them from
pain and
the
from
things
struggle
that they didn't know about.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to, because I would make the decision, I would move them in this direction, and then there we go.
I mean, it's easy when they're like 3 and 4 years old. Don't play in the street or you'll get run over by a car, right?
Yes.
Well,
that's not easy with all 3-year-olds.
Well, no.
2 girls, easy. 1 boy, not so easy.
But I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, I can protect them from this. I can protect them from getting run over by a car. But then, they start getting in relationships with boys. And
teach your kids to love each other too. Yeah.
yeah.
You are absolutely right on that.
If you have any secrets on how to get them to love each other, well,
my mother does. She would send me and my sisters out and say, "Don't you come back until you."
Now,
and it worked, man. It worked.
We are doing things like Christina and Silas before you got home tonight.
Oh, I don't even think I want to hear this story.
No, they were doing great. They got a new game on the Xbox and they were playing it, and oh my goodness, they were driving me crazy because they were hooting and hollering and yelling and screaming, and I was trying to focus on trying to get all this stuff taken care of, and I was getting frustrated, and they were having such a good time. I just said, you know what, it's not worth being frustrated.
Let them enjoy.
Yeah, let them enjoy. And then Alyssa and Silas, they're both working at the same place together. So, like last Saturday?
Yes.
a Saturday they spent an entire like 6 hours like right beside each other without killing each other.
They were both alive when it was over. It was
Oh.
you know,
So yeah, absolutely.
unexpected but great.
Teach your kids to love each other. That's really important. But give them opportunities for failure.
This is, I mean, again, this is just something, when it's my job to make the decisions, we're going to do the right thing, we're going to move in the right direction.
Yep.
But as they get older, they have to be able to do these things for themselves. And being able to log away, you know, actually learn something. I think that you learn it better, what did I say the other day? You learn it better when you drive it.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you have the experience, when you're doing the thing with your own hands, I mean, everybody learns better with their own experience rather than just information that's being, you know. So if you say, you know, you go down to the building that used to be the Walmart, and then you turn left, and then you go down until you see the old red barn, but not the first red barn, the second red barn, it's kind of dilapidated, and then you got to take a right there, and then you turn on the road that used to be.
I'm going to get lost. That's what's going to happen. I'm not going to know what I'm doing, which is why when you make all your decisions for your children, because you know from your experience, you've made these decisions, you've driven that road yourself.
Yeah.
When you make all these decisions for your children, they're safe because you get them there. You get them where they need to go. But when it comes time for them to make those decisions by themselves, they don't know how. You know, this isn't, the example was great, but now they have to practice.
Right.
And that's a hard thing that we're learning right now with especially with our oldest daughter, is allowing her to practice, allowing her to have those moments where she has to drive it herself, you know, and instead of us just telling her turn at the second red barn, but you know, not that one that those one guys lived in, but the other one. And she's going, I'm going to get lost, you know, instead she
what
has
guys
to
you know living in a barn?
Out here?
Oh, yep. Yeah, I don't think that she's ever going to run into a Sonic sign again.
Poor kid. You shouldn't even bring that up.
I won't bring that up.
You already did.
Oh, okay. So, but yeah, if there's no opportunity for failure, there's no opportunity for success. You know, there has to be that level of risk. And if we absorb all of the risk, then there's no opportunity for them to find any success in that. We're the ones succeeding. We're doing great. We know all the answers.
Well,
but then,
and there's a time for that. I think that when they're little, you do absorb the risk.
Oh,
I think that's your job, and maybe you give them small things that they can fail in or that they can succeed in, and let them have that for themselves. But we're at a whole different level now, where we're having to learn how to make adult life decisions, and that's different.
It is. It is.
And it's exciting, but it's scary.
So basically, just providing a controlled environment. You know,
a safety net.
Little steps. You know, you let them drive the car, but you know, hey, don't drive in the rain yet because you don't have quite enough experience. You know, yes, you can, you know, go into town, but don't go 3 towns over, and you know. So honestly, I think that this is something that my parents did with me and my sister growing up, honestly at a much younger age. But I think that we were in a position where we had to. We were growing up where my parents were running a business and their time was very stretched, so they decided to homeschool us and keep us with them while they were running a business. But then as we grew and we were doing other things, their time wasn't anymore available, so they were having to allow us to make those decisions on our own. And so, you know, by the time I was driving, I had already been driving go-karts and four-wheelers and, you know, dirt bikes, and I had a pretty good understanding, and so they felt like I had a decent amount of experience in that, and they would, you know, honestly, my dad, the first time he took me out driving, he was like, all right, take me to work, I gotta make some phone calls, and we jumped in the car and drove down the interstate and took him into Nashville. And
oh, see, that sounds terrifying.
And it was because he knew and trusted me, and maybe he put a little bit too much trust, but he allowed opportunities for me to gain that experience, and allowed opportunities for failure. But in that same mindset, when you allow opportunities for failure, you allow opportunities for success. I mean, some of the most exciting things for me is to think, well, that's stupid, that's not going to work. And yeah, you do whatever you want, and then the kids go and show me up and prove me wrong, and I'm like, I didn't think that would work. So Mom used to say, you just have to teach them how to fail. Yep, that's exactly right. So, but yeah, so once you set the foundation and build that trust in your kids.
We did have great parents.
Yes.
Both of us did.
We did. They were pretty awesome. And then get involved with your kids, and then be intentional about giving them opportunities to take those risks that they need to take. You know, they need to spread those wings.
Especially before they have to.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing. You know, next year our oldest, there are going to be some situations where she has to, but before she has to, I keep calling this a practice year.
Yeah.
It's a practice year. I'm right here. You make the call. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? What's going to happen next? I'm right here. If something goes wrong, I've got it. You know, we've got it.
Yep.
It's going to be okay. But
exactly.
Practice.
And with anything, you know, practice, it reduces fear. It increases confidence. It teaches what is reliably consistent as far as what we can do. And it'll allow them to live out their lives as adults, having the confidence to know, okay, I did this, so I can do this, or I was XYZ, so I can do ABC. And I think that's one way that we're able to allow our kids to live these things out and experience life and become little adults right now under the protection of our wings, like a mama hen would some baby chicks. But yet,
just to bring it all full circle back to homesteading, huh?
But yet they grow up, and then they have to learn the pecking order, and you know, somebody might get pecked on every once in a while. But
so I think now we have effectively gone.
Are we past your time limit?
Well, I think we've gone.
So we're about 20 minutes past what I was expecting. So.
Well, that's not too bad then.
No, not too bad at all. So, but we, So raising kids to be adults. Set a good foundation. Build some trust.
Raising puppies to be adults.
Raising puppies to be adults. That would be difficult.
Just looking at Daisy in here.
Oh, Daisy, yeah. We've got our dogs are
they're all
sprawled out
we
on
have
the
all
floor.
Of them. They don't want to be
just like over here and on the couch or a seat, whatever. So, but yeah.
Dogs.
Well, I don't know who all. Anybody have any questions for us? There's about a 15-second delay.
Okay, so we'll just sit here and wait for 15 seconds. Has it been 15 seconds?
It's close to it. But we appreciate you guys sticking with us. And we sure do love our kids. We sure do love the home that we've made here. And they're a big part of it. But you know what? They're going to move on to starting their own families and their own homes. Yeah. And we're excited about that too. What is your favorite color? Blue. No, yellow.
What?
It's a Monty Python reference. You wouldn't understand.
Oh, no, I wouldn't get that.
All right, friends. Well, I think that is all the time that we have. So just in review, we've got a lot going on in the homestead.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the world. Be prepared for food shortages and rabid raccoons. Raise your kids to love to learn, love the Lord, and not be afraid to take risks. Love each other. Love each other, not be afraid to take risks. So, we appreciate you if you found this live stream informative or entertaining in any way. I'd appreciate if you hit the thumbs up. I love that YouTube allows us this opportunity to get to know you guys and our audience and allow you to, connect with us in a more personal way. It also allows opportunity for our audience to support us in other ways. We get ad revenue whenever you guys watch a video that has ads on it, which is helpful. But also there's a fun little thing called Super Chat, which you're able to pay to get a chat up at the top of the list, and it pops up on the screen and makes a big to-do about it. Things like that. But that just supports the channel a little bit, helps offset the cost of some of the homesteading things, and that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Well, this was kind of fun.
And it's kind of fun.
It was kind of fun.
You kind of like talking to me, huh?
Well, yes. I mean, all of this is very terrifying, but this I do all the
not so
time.
bad.
That's
So,
fine.
Yep. So, but we appreciate you guys. We love you, and hope that you have a wonderful evening. And we're going to go ahead and call it a night. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.
It was a
which
good talk.
is going to be about me taking Christina to find a book she needed for school.
Oh, good gracious.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.